Hey, everybody. Well, we're back here for another edition, as they say, of It's TTT, y'all. It's time to talk. So it's where I use a platform for people to tell their, uh, I said extraordinary, no, ordinary stories that are extraordinary, but it's just people telling their stories and things that you would want to hear, things that. Hey, everybody. Well, y'all know I got technical issues, so be quiet. Don't say nothing. Uh, but tonight we have a topic that has always been interesting to me. I won't blame it on who that I haven't been able to foster, but y'all know who I'm gonna blame it on, right? Okay. But before I go into the show, I just want to say I thought about something today, and as I was listening to the trial today, and thinking about some of the things that was going on, one of the places that we've really missed the mark in that we want to have an effect on the police department. You know how we can do that? Vote in local elections. And what sparked my nerve, even though we have some elections coming up, and our time, early voting is April 19th. But when the chief of police was sitting there and they asked how he was, how he got the job, he was appointed by the mayor. So most police chiefs are either elected or appointed by one of the commissions or the mayor or someone. I'm sure it's different in different towns. But if you're voting and you vote for someone who has your ideal and they're the mayor and they're going to be hiring the police chief, you would hope that they're going to be hiring a police chief that, has your ideals. Or if it's an elected position, as some of them are here in the Dallas area, I know sheriff, and I don't think the police chief is, but I think the sheriff is. You would vote for someone who has your ideals. So I guess what I'm trying to say, we need to stop missing out on the local elections. Yes, we need national police reform, and we need statewide, mandates and regulations, etc. But that's a simple way that we can have an effect on the police departments and the policies and procedures that they put up with, etc. So just think about it. When was the last local election that you voted in? That's just the question. I know we're heavy on the presidential and the congressmen and the senators, etc. But you hear it all the time. Politics are local. So if you want to affect your police department, think about voting in the local elections. Find out how your police chief and the other law enforcement heads are placed in position, whether it's appointed, elected, or whatever, and then vote in that manner. Get people in that are going to help make that decision. And that's going to be a start, just a start at dealing with some of the police departments that are there. So that was just my thought for the day. It popped into my head. So we're going to go on with the show tonight. And this one is dedicated once again to my line sister who passed away. Well, she was sick. She hadn't passed away last Monday. I don't believe, no. But yeah, Monday. Yeah, last Monday. Okay. But we had our services this Friday on Good Friday, and she was adopted. And tonight we're talking about foster care and adoption. And I have two wonderful mothers on here who one has dealt with foster care and other foster care a little, and one has adopted a beautiful, beautiful cutesy pie. So we're going to talk to them about their journey through the foster care and adoption system. And for those of you on Clubhouse, I believe you can hear everything. And if at some point you have a question, you're welcome to ask that question. I'll bring you up and open the mic for you to ask that question. But we're going to listen to their stories first before we start any questions. And thank you, Miss Melody, for coming on and listening. If you have anyone that you think should be listening to this, please bring them on, okay? So now, I forgot. Oh, A first. Okay. So the first young lady that I'm going to bring up is Miss Andrea McCain, and she is a friend of the oldest of mine. And that's right, I forgot to tell y'all. The one question I ask is, okay, what do you remember? When was the first time you met me?
When the first time I met you, I think when we went out to dinner in Maryland.
It had to be eating crabs.
And was eating crabs.
That's
Of course.
all I wanted to do in Maryland was eat crabs. So
Yeah. Or maybe when I came out to your house, but I think it was when we went out to eat crabs. Was the very first.
That's right. You in Chicago?
No, you were in Maryland. You were in Maryland at the time, and we went out to the restaurant in the Baltimore area out to eat. We were celebrating somebody's graduation.
So I think that was it. Yeah. It was eating crabs. It was eating crabs. It was eating crabs. So, Miss Andrea, just tell us a little bit about you, who you are, where you're from, and how did you get into this journey?
Okay, well, I don't know where to start. I'll just start from I'm from the Washington D.C. area.
Okay.
Not born and raised, but grew up in Northern Virginia, and went to North Carolina A&T, and graduated 92-ish, and so then my journey was kind of weird, a whole lot of personal growing up through the 20s. I'll just say that. and then it settled on getting my graduate degree in healthcare management in Atlanta, which kind of led me into getting into pharmaceutical sales. So and I've been in pharmaceutical sales now, oncology specifically, for going on 21 years. So so moved to the Maryland area from Atlanta, probably back in 2019, 2020, and been back home ever since. And so when I moved back home, I held the responsibility of taking care of my grandfather, was his primary caregiver, and devoted a lot of my time and resources to doing that. And so once when I was going through it, I was going through a lot of different emotions, like why me? And my brother got to get married, but I felt like I was not able to get to that situation. I had to take care of my grandfather, so there was a little bit of resentment there. And then so it was always like, why me? And I realized once he passed that there was a foundation. Excuse me.
That's okay.
There was a part, I think, that God was preparing me to be able to allow myself the skill set and experience to be able to know how to love and to care. And so once he passed, and I there was this void in my life. And I'm an older mother. I am 51 years old. So at the time that I decided I wanted to be a mother, I knew that it probably wasn't going to happen for me biologically. So I started to pursue looking into adoption. And so my first thought was to go the route of foster care and perhaps looking into if I were to foster somebody in the area, what does that look like? And, how does that transition into adopting? But I was met with some kind of not so kind people in the Washington, D.C. area, adoption area, where, when I went for I guess what they call an orientation, the first thing the guy says is, a lot of y'all come in here and thinking y'all can get some cute, pretty light-skinned kid, and I was instantly turned off by that. It's like, that wasn't, for him to say that, it's just like that was his intentions were to, turn away people
Right. Sounds
from
like
that fostering process. And so I was immediately turned off and we never went back to that. Then I was in the Washington area, Maryland, and looked into adopting in this area and what it looked like in Maryland, and was told I was too old.
Oh, wow.
And that was probably what, 48, 47 at the time.
Wow.
So, yeah, 45, 46, 47. So, quickly my hopes were dashed away, because I had been, ran into those two, barriers immediately. But then I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I ended up finding a family attorney that specialized in adoption.
Okay.
And she led me the way. So she set me up with a group that had you have to go through a long process of getting your house in order, going through the process of doing therapy to ensure that you're mentally stable to be able to handle the situation, even home visits to ensure that the house is up to code from the fire station, all the background checks, the FBI, the fingerprinting. So it was a process that I started probably in the spring of 2016, and it wasn't finalized until probably November of that year.
Wow.
And that's the time that you, at that point, when you get all that certification done, you have to go out and find an adoption agency. I already knew I wasn't going to be able to utilize one here in Maryland. And then another situation was that certain states have requirements where the mother can change their mind up to 2 months.
Oh, wow.
90 days, 30 days, those type of things. And I didn't want that situation to happen as well, because I didn't want to put myself in a situation where I fall in love instantly and then the mom comes back. So
wait, is that different in different states?
It is. It's different in every state. Every state has a different requirement. And so a lot of the East Coast, Northeast states require 30 to 90 days where the mom can come back.
Okay.
Yeah. So this particular lawyer that I had that suggested that I look into an adoption agency in Oklahoma, and I liked that. I liked the adoption agency, and so once I got I ended up going with them, and you have to put a pictorial booklet together of yourself, your family, your background, your house, and just like a storybook. Be able to have them present to the potential birth mothers. And so I did that and finished that by probably January, February of 2017, and an adoption birth mother came available. And the first one, though, instantly my attorney would look at the profile, and that particular birth mother had admitted that there was some significant mental disability and psychosis in her family. So my attorney suggested I didn't go with that first one. And so then it wasn't too long that another birth mother came along, and so that profile was much more appealing. And they presented the profile. They present like 4 or 5 different families to each biological mother. So the biological mother can select who they want to choose to be their potential adoptive mother. And so the first person that I was presented to officially was the one that chose me.
Wow. So, but they get to choose from different parents, but you don't necessarily get to choose from different children.
No.
Whatever comes at that point, and then you go, okay.
Yep. And once I've agreed to pick, I had a choice. Like the first, I had the opportunity to say no to the first birth mother, but I said, yeah, you can be present. And once she chooses you, you have to be willing to go ahead and go forward with the process. And so that was the process, and she chose me. And this particular birth mother was very she had, she was in poverty. She had a son, and I'm not sure exactly what her story was, but I don't think she knew the father, and so she just knew she couldn't handle another child. So I flew out to Oklahoma in April to meet her.
Wow.
And I went with her to the ultrasound, and then I went back in May, and voila.
Before the baby was even born.
Yeah, I went before.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oklahomian.
So, it was a very emotional, stressful time, because you really don't know what the outcome is going to be. And the mother still at the time that she was born, that Sophia was born, I was in the hospital with Sophia.
Oh, were you?
They allow you, the birth mother has her own suite, and then the adopted mother has her own suite. Wow. And Sophia stayed with me that first night that she was born.
So did she have, when was the cutoff for her to decide if she didn't want to do it?
She had until, so in Oklahoma, it was only 2 or 3 days, I think it was, if I remember correctly. So, and it was scary because Sophia turned out to be just beautiful. And you could tell that she, was really just torn. And I'll be honest with you, one of the things that kind of made it a little bit, I don't know how you look long term, looking at it now, looking back on it, I don't know how that, it figured out, but she was addicted to something, whether it be nicotine or some other drug substance, and the hospital recognized that and would not let Sophia go home until that she had gone through that withdrawal. And because of that, the medical expenses were building. I had insurance, she didn't. So she knew that if she decided to take Sophia, that would have been on her.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Wow. That's interesting. Yeah. Now that 2 or 3 days is better than 30 to 60 days. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And those are the longest 2-3 days. Yeah.
I'm sure it seems like 30 to 60 days when you're waiting.
Absolutely. And then because Sophia was, going through withdrawals, it was also, a little bit of an anxiety filled 2-3 days. So, and then you have to stay in that state no matter what for 2 weeks.
Really? Wow. What's the rationale behind that? Do you know?
They have to go through all of the legal processes that are necessary in order for you to take the child across state lines.
Okay. I didn't know that. Yeah. But I know you don't regret a minute of it.
No, I don't regret a minute of it at all. That is, raising a child is, like everybody knows, can have its ups and downs. But she is the love of my life, and I really, like I said, looking back on the time that I was taking care of my grandfather and not really understanding why I was put in that position, clearly has been now defined for me, and has brought to the forefront why I was put in that position to do so. So and then I feel like God, this was my blessing for that. This was my reward. And I'll be honest with you. We have 2 family homes. I think I could do better by myself. So and do. So I don't know how it is. I don't have that luxury. But yeah, so
No, we missed it. You said, what did you say? I'm sorry, I guess my connection went bad, so I didn't hear it. You said y'all have what?
I said, I don't have a husband or anything to help me, but I kind of like it like that, because I don't have to negotiate on how I'm gonna raise Sophia. I think it seemed like it would be a little bit more. It could, be more challenging. I don't know. So.
Sophia, do you want to say hi? I see you messing with mommy, Sophia. Say hello.
Be the center. You want to say hi?
Let me see your face. Hi, Sophia. What would you like to tell us? Would you like to tell us something? Yes. What you want to tell us? We're listening. Everybody be quiet now.
I found seashells in the beach.
Oh, we just got back from the beach, and so she found seashells on the beach.
Oh, did you? Well, when you come down here with me, I'll show you how to make some jewelry out of your seashells. How about that? What you think?
So that sounds exciting.
That sounds exciting.
And do you have the best mommy in the whole wide world?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure you knew that. So, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Well, you are precious. Love you, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Andrea, any good advice or anything you would tell anyone that you said?
Well, I think the one thing I like to make sure that, especially as African Americans, that we are aware that, you know, there's a sit down for me, please sit down. There's a stigma around, you know, African Americans, you know, typically in the past shied away from the adoption process. And you know, there was like, I don't know, you could tell I've even had people say to me, I don't know if they're friends, but more associates, or you bought your baby, and you know, it's you know, it's not that, you know, it's not that process, you know. I mean, yes, I had legal fees to take care of, and adoption fees, but I didn't buy my baby. It was a process, and a loving process.
The hospital, when you go to the hospital, have one, you got to pay to have it. So you know,
yeah.
You pay.
Yeah. So there's you know, there's a lot of misconceptions, I think, in our community around adoption, and you know, some negative stigma around it, and I think that we're starting to break barriers with that. But you know, if anybody, with women now wanting to work on their career, it's harder to settle down with a mate because of the ratio from women to good men. You know, sometimes you find yourself in a situation where you're not able to have a relationship that would produce, you know, a child. So, you know, adoption is an alternative for someone who's seeking that type of, you know, relationship in their life with a child. So,
yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, and you know, hey, it's enough children out there. Believe me.
And that's another thing too. A lot of times, a lot of people talk about going across overseas and internationally to get children. You would be shocked at how many children right here in America need homes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's no need. In my opinion, when people go outside of the country to adopt, they're doing it because they want it to be, you know, bold.
What we call sexy or stylish.
Right. To have, you know, an Asian or, you know, to be, you know, to have that mixed family. They just want to do it to be, you know. But there's plenty of babies right here in America, United States, that need love and support and care.
I agree with you. Okay, well, I'm gonna let you off for a little bit to attend.
Okay.
But I want you to come back because we're gonna have just a little bit of discussion on some other things really quick. But I'm gonna bring on my other guests real quick, and then we'll be back in just a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
Well, within my hour.
All right.
So my next guest, full disclosure, she's one of my sisters in love, as we say. And talking to her, I just found out I could have had all 4 of them on, right?
Right.
About foster care. And I'm thinking she's been doing it the longest, and she's been probably doing it almost the shortest. So, Hey, Miss Melissa Moore, how are you?
Hey, Gloria, how are you?
I'm good. And as I told Andrea, okay, when was the first time? I always tell the people that I know the people I'm talking to. So when did we first meet?
I first met you in Dallas, Texas at your wedding.
Right. Yep. And ever since then, I've taken on everybody. My Drake, Asian, everybody. And I guess one thing we do have in common, we love children.
Yes, ma'am.
You've had a daycare for how many years?
I had daycare, maybe it was about 25 years.
25 years. Wow. Taking care of childrens.
Yes, ma'am.
Many of them have come back to see you after they've gotten older.
Yes, they have. Yes, and they still come back. We do sleepovers. They've gone
Okay.
off to college and come back for sleepovers or a Sunday dinner or just whatever.
Oh, cool,
Yes.
cool. So, tell us about your journey on the foster care. And as you told me, it's relatively new. Like I said, even though I thought you've been doing it for years, she just love on them and keep them all the time. So I thought they were in foster care.
I do. I do. I love children. I always have. Ever since my teenage years, I've kept someone's kids, whether
Wow.
it's my nieces or nephews or family friends' kids. I've always loved on kids. That's just my calling, I think. Well,
Yeah.
I know it is.
Hmm.
Um, I started foster care maybe it's been a little over a year now. Um, when I had daycare, I had some kids in the daycare that the family really struggled. The mother was sick; she was a single parent.
Mm.
And one evening, she never came to pick the three kids up.
Mm.
Um, the next day, she never picked them up, and technically, I'm supposed to call DSS. But I just couldn't bring myself to do that
Okay.
because I knew at that point that they would be put in foster care and they would be split up probably.
Mm.
So I just kept them, and it probably went 2 to 3 months, and I still
Wow.
have them at the home. I
Wow.
finally got a call from the mother. She had been in the hospital. She had mental illness no one knew about.
Oh, wow.
So um, I think that's where foster care came in for me
Mm.
because even after the 3 months, she continued getting sick. So I took on one of the daughters, and
Mhm.
she stayed with me and finished school, and went through high school and went off to college, and now she's living on her own with children and
Okay.
doing very well. From that, I think it's when I decided I wanted to do foster care.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and like I said, I've been doing it a little over a year. I've
Okay.
had 3 kids so far. Um, the first set that I had was brothers, um, and they had a long rap sheet. One, one was 6 years old, and the other one was 5. They had never been to school.
What?
Um, yeah, they had never been to school. No school setting at all.
Wow.
Um, they were very troubled. The family was troubled. One now, the oldest one is in an institution because he couldn't maintain foster care, so they had to put him in a higher setting. The
Mm.
younger one, he stayed here. Loved him to death, sweet little boy. Both of them was. Um, but the youngest one, we sent him off to school, but each day the principal would call. He couldn't maintain school. Um, and one of the biggest things about foster care is if you're working,
Hmm.
the children has to maintain school or it's going to be a major problem.
Yeah.
You'll get called every day. They get suspended. I eventually lost my job because I had to come and pick him up every day, or I
Mm.
had to stay at home because he couldn't go to school. So
Hmm. Hmm.
um, I eventually had to let him go. He had to go to a family that would stay at home and they could do in-home school or send him off to school and do all the things that needed to be done.
Mm.
So I
That was
hate. I
hard.
mean, the downfall is you get attached to these kids and then sometimes you have to let them go.
Yeah.
And it was really hard for me. It
Yeah.
was really hard.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've only been doing it for like a year, a little over a year, and uh, it's
Yeah.
very emotional
Yeah.
because they come and go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I have a young man, he's 11 years old,
Hmm.
and he definitely maintains school. Sweet little kid.
Good.
Um, but yeah, foster care is really needed. Like the young lady said, it's a lot of kids in this area in the United States. The
Hmm.
Charlotte area is so many kids out there ready to be fostered or adopted and just don't have enough families signing on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We need lots more families signing on.
Yeah, when Andrea was talking about the process, background checks, FBI, all of that. Did you go through all of that with the foster also?
You have to go through all of that with foster care.
Okay.
And you have to have monthly meetings, weekly
Mm,
meetings.
mm,
All of the doctor's appointments that the kids go to, you are responsible for all of that. Therapists, all of it.
mm,
Um, you're in on the sessions every time the child has a session. But
mm.
yeah, background checks, your family, your spouses, your kids,
Wow.
your siblings, your parents, everybody. They check on everybody before they um,
Allow you to.
allow you to be foster parents.
Mm, mm.
Yeah,
But you're going to keep doing it.
I'm going to keep doing it.
Okay.
Yes, yes. I don't see myself stopping anyway soon. There's so
Yeah,
many kids
yeah,
out there that needs parents.
yeah. Do you think you'll ever move to the adoption stage?
Um, at my age, I'm not sure,
Okay.
but I think that um, I don't know. I can't
Yeah,
say right
yeah.
now.
Oh, I know.
At my age, I don't know.
That's cool. No, that's understandable. No, that's definitely understandable because you have to be ready to go. But there's no limit. Like the young king you have now is 11. Now you can keep him until he ages out, right? There's no limit on how long a foster child can stay.
No, it's no limit,
Okay.
but some kids are adopted out.
Okay.
Yes, some kids are adopted out. Most foster kids that are in foster homes, they want them to be adopted out.
Okay. Okay.
Yes,
So that's
yes.
the ultimate goal for them to be adopted out.
The ultimate goal is to be adopted out.
Okay.
But
Okay.
when they get a certain age, it's kind of hard. When
Hmm.
they're younger, they're more likely to be adopted out. When they get a certain age, they're pretty much in foster care or group homes.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
So, any thoughts to people to encourage them to your brother like to do foster care?
Yes, yes. It's so many kids out there that need loving homes and loving families, and I promise you, it's very rewarding. You
Yeah,
will,
yeah,
yes, you will fall
yeah,
in love.
yeah. Oh, I
Yeah,
know it's hard for me, so I know. Oh,
yeah.
well, I'm gonna bring Andrea back on, and we're gonna talk just a little bit about a couple of things. Like I'm trying to get in the middle, see if I know what I'm doing. Oh, there I am in the middle. Yay! And one of the things I wanted to add in some, I know I did it in Maryland. If like you want to, I sat in on IEPs for foster kids.
Mhm.
So when they have IEPs, if they're in a group home or something, they need people to volunteer to come and sit in on their IEP. And that's something that I did for foster kids in Maryland. So
Okay.
there are a number of ways that, people can help, and you do build a relationship with them. It's not like you can go visit them or go home with them or anything. The only relationship you have with them is there in school. But it becomes a good relationship because you're advocating for them and for what's best for them, and you get to they make sure you know their grades and all of those different things about them, and so you build somewhat a relationship. So that's just another way to help some of the foster kids if you are not ready to actually bring one into host a foster kid in your home.
Right.
So one of the things I was going to ask about last night, they had on Color of Love. It was just God because I didn't know it was going to be on last night. Which the show was about. Debbie Winans played a black mother who had lost her husband. She had two kids, but she had fostered two white kids, I guess sometime before. And I didn't see the whole show. That's why I'm trying to speculate on where. But it came up again to where they were going to be split or something. And this time she wanted to adopt them. And she caught all kinds of havoc from family and friends and other people of other races. And so, what are your thoughts on interracial adoption? Lisa, I'll let you go first because I know some of it. No.
Well, before I was educated on everything, I always said that I think we should take care of our own
Hmm.
before we go out and adopt some other race. But now, I don't think it matters I don't think, as long as you're loving the kids and they feel loved and you're taking care of them, I think, you know, all kids need love, so it shouldn't matter the color or the race.
Yeah, yeah. What about you, Andrea? What's your thought on interracial adoption?
Interracial fostering for me is different than the idea of actually, interracial adoption. I'll say that. Fostering, in my opinion, is something that is needed because these kids need somewhere to stay that's safe and stable. So for that, I don't think that there's an issue one way or the other. I will say that again, just like I was stating earlier about going outside the country to adopt a baby when there's plenty of babies here in America. I just think that that's unfortunate. And of course, because there's that whole Black family dynamics that aren't always made up or wanting to adopt a Black child. A lot of the Black children ended up getting adopted by either same-sex couples or a white family. But one of the things when we were doing the whole interview and application at the adoption agency, they specifically ask you what you want. Okay. And so for me, I told them specifically what I want. I didn't have a choice as far as gender is concerned, but I told them I wanted to stay within the African American community. And one of the reasons why the birth mother selected me, I mean, because mind you, she could have chosen a 2-parent home easily for Sophia, but she picked me because I think she saw in herself me, and she liked the idea at the end of the day that she said specifically she didn't want a family that was outside of the Black race to raise her child.
Yeah.
And so she was very specific on what it was that she wanted.
Yeah.
So I mean that there's a need, but I think that when we're talking about now, with all that's going on, if we can stay in adoption and within our race, I don't think this is a bad thing.
Okay. Yeah, I think at one time I was probably pretty strong, like Lisa was saying. It was like, oh yeah, because there's so many out there that so many young Black children who need to be adopted, and then I thought about, like you were saying, Andrea, how the Black community has such a stigma on adoption. And so I'm like, if the babies can be adopted by somebody white and they're going to give them love, good. But I just want them to help make sure that they understand their own culture.
Right.
But I had never thought about until the show came on, and even you, Lisa, because I know, the couple have all been from another race or mixed or something. I never thought about a Black couple adopting a white kids. I was like, okay, what do I think about that? And so I really don't have an issue with it. And I was looking at some stats, and their adoptions, there's only 1% that's interracial. So it's not a lot of it going on out there. But I mean, because I love kids, and then I equate kids when we're talking about, the kids down at the Mexican border and how people are trying to dehumanize these kids. And I'm like, those are all, Mexican or Hispanic kids. They're not, they're kids, they're babies. And my love for babies basically says, a baby needs love, and whoever will give them that true love, then I'm for it. But I do have this thing to where I do want Black kids to understand who they are. But so, I don't know if that really answered the question, but when I think about God's perfect will and God's permissive will, I think in the adoption scenario, God's perfect will would be for everybody to be with their, who they were born with. But his permissive will says he wants everybody to be loved. So, it's that if a child can get into a family and where they can be loved, and it's not for a show or for play around and all of that stuff, then I'm for it, then I'm for it. Because it's important. Our children Our children they need us so bad. And we, we grew up, be quiet and be silent. I'm of the part, let children be children. That's why so people bother me. Yeah, I just
asked her bedtime, so it's getting a little bit.
I know it. But that's why, I think if people that will take children in to love them, I think that's what's important.
Yeah.
And help them become productive citizens in our society. But I do believe you should always help them learn about their own culture, no matter what side or who brings them in or whatever. I think that's an important thing because that says something. Their beginning is important. So
yeah,
right.
So,
ladies, y'all have anything else to tell our audience or our guests, or any suggestions?
All I would say is, like I said, if it's something that someone is thinking about, it's in their mind to do, then do it. Don't hesitate. Find the appropriate legal help to be able to get informed about the situation. Do your research and go for it. Is nothing greater than to go ahead and be able to bring someone into your life that's in need. Sophia would not be Sophia if she hadn't been brought into our lives. So
she didn't have you.
Right.
And Lisa, anything?
Yes, there's a lot of kids out there that need to be fostered. Don't run away from it. It's not hard. It's a lot of paperwork, but you can get through it. But they need to be loved and they need family. So please, it's lots of them out there, and they need homes.
Yeah.
So join in.
Okay. Well, thank you, ladies. I'm gonna pray, and then we're gonna get off of here. Father God, I just thank you for this time. I thank you for these two beautiful, beautiful queens of yours who have taken it on to take on, as you say, the least of these, someone who needs help, someone who needs love, someone who needs a family, someone who needs a home, Father. So God, I just thank you for them. And I just pray that you would bless them. Just multiply, multiply, multiply their blessings, Father. And God, I just pray for the children, specifically in the foster care and Sophia individually. Lord, I pray that she would live to be everything that you created her to be. And I pray for the peace and comfort with Andrea, that she would be able to give her the things, and her support group to give her the things that she needs to give. And just guard Lisa's heart, Father, as she goes through this process. It's a hard give and take, but Lord, just bless her and all that she's doing for the children, God. And we just ask these things knowing that you hear us. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
So thank y'all very much. Next week,
thank you.
And I announce my guest because I'm not sure if he's going to be here. So you just have to tune in next week, 8 p.m. Central, or look at it later on YouTube. But still wear your mask. Go get your other vaccination if you don't have it. Keep your distance. But most of all, keep your peace. Don't let anybody take it. Love y'all so much. See y'all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.